Okay, so common sense Scrum is the name of this talk. And for me, the two terms kind of mean the same thing. Common sense and Scrum. Scrum makes a lot of sense. When you think about it in its pure form, it makes a lot of sense. The folks who created it were pretty smart. As we say in Massachusetts, they are wicked smart, right? So Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland, pretty smart dudes. And Scrum is how old? Who knows how old Scrum is? 30 years. Just celebrated its 30 years. How old's Agile? 22, February of 2001. Okay, so they've been around a while, and the framework of Scrum and the mindset of Agile have kind of evolved over decades. And it's evolved out of experience. And one of the things that I wanted to share with all of you, I'm a Scrum trainer, and I've been doing this for about 6 years. Before that, I coached for about 7 years. Before that, I was a Scrum master and a product owner and a developer. And before that, I was a waterfall project manager. And before that, I was a college student. So I've seen a lot of things and a lot of experience on this. And in the last 6 years, as I was teaching close to 9,000 people in the last 6 years, the CSM, the CSPO class, every single class has a parking lot where you can put questions that are important to you, but aren't part of what we're currently covering. And I got curious recently. I went back over 6 years of parking lot questions, and I was shocked to see that over 80% of them all related to the same stuff. Here's what it was. The people in the class all felt like, yeah, this makes sense. Scrum makes sense. Agile makes sense. But how the heck do I do it when I get back to work? Anyone ever struggled with that little one? Show of hands, if that's been you. Okay. So I got curious and I started thinking, well, why is it that people struggle so much to implement Scrum? So one of the things I noticed was the company that is adopting Agile and Scrum, they start the process by saying this: how do we change Agile and Scrum to fit us? I see laughter in the back. You in the black vest, you're laughing. Tell me why.
Last 4 engagements, that's how it starts.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've worked with 35 companies professionally as a coach or a consultant or a trainer. All of them huge. And every single one of them started their process like that and didn't really come off of that. And they keep trying to jam that square peg into that round hole of how do we change Agile and Scrum to fit us? When the question they should be asking is exactly what?
How do we change?
How do we change ourselves to fit Agile and Scrum? So the question is, why don't they do that? He's still laughing. Lee, what do you think? Why don't they do that? Change is hard. Change is hard. That's 100% right. So I wonder which company you work for that's been doing it for 225 years. Yeah, so because change is hard. But here's another thing, and this took a little peeling of the onion to figure out. Scrum has a superpower. If you're doing pure Scrum, the way it's written in the Scrum guide, what do you think is the biggest superpower that Scrum's going to have? What's it going to do for you first? I like that. Let me just, for those online, if you didn't hear, it was, I think, if I could summarize for you, sir, I might get this wrong, but I think what I just heard was, if we do Scrum the way it's meant to be done, the first thing it's going to do is show us everything that's wrong. It's going to show us everything that we're doing wrong. It's going to show us all the things that are broken in our organization. Think about that. If you are even a little bit insecure about how you look to your boss, or how your boss looks to your boss's boss, are you going to want your dirty laundry out there? Are you going to want the world to know all the things we're doing incorrectly? That's what Scrum's going to do for you. if you do it the right way. It's going to show you quickly, publicly, and loudly everything you're doing wrong. That is one of the big reasons we resist it. He's still laughing. So here are some things that we might find ourselves doing if we're not doing Scrum in its purest form. And this is just a small sampling, okay? Skipping the retrospective. We have too much work to do. Gary Miller did a great talk on the retrospective. What if we skip that thing, Gary? Yeah, okay. Skipping the retrospective. Having your daily Scrum look more like a status meeting. Show of hands who's ever had that happen. Okay. No customers or end users at your sprint review. Who here is experiencing that one? Okay, so I see hands everywhere. Okay, how about this? Planning more work than we can handle. Okay, so all kinds of things are going to get revealed to us very, very quickly if this is the way we operate. Now, tell you a little story. First story I want to talk about is around multitasking. One of the things that I get all the time in my travels is we don't have, I'll just use an example. We don't have a full-time product owner on our team. Anyone here part of that world doesn't have a full-time product owner? Okay. Why? Why don't you have a full-time product owner on your team?
Well, probably the worst scenario is they have 100% other responsibilities.
Okay. So the product owner also has a day job, is basically what Lee's saying,
Yeah.
right? So the product owner has a full-time job and they're a product owner and they're 15 spare minutes per day, somewhere around lunchtime. Okay. So if that happens, what are the ramifications of that? Now, what if I told you that if you're doing Scrum correctly, Scrum says you should have one product owner on a team that does nothing but that job? Okay. What if he's still laughing? This guy's cracking up. All right. So you're just living this life, aren't you? Okay. So if that happens, let's say you go back to work tomorrow and you say, hey, I was in Agile New England last night and this crazy idiot Eric told me that I have to have a product owner full-time on the team that does nothing but the job of the product owner. What is your boss going to say about that? What will be the rebuttal?
Find me the money.
Find me the money. Okay, great answer. Did anyone else think the same? That would be a financial objection because we can't afford to pay someone full-time to do nothing but that job? Because if I have Lee as a product owner on a Scrum team, and that's all he's doing, who's going to do the 25 other things I asked Lee to do every day, right? Okay, so let's think about that. If that is the case, what could go wrong? If you have an absentee or a part-time product owner that's stretched too thin, who knows what backlog refinement is? Okay, someone explain to me and the rest of us. Yes, microphone guy, get ready. What is backlog refinement? I take the mic away from Lee, he's talking too much. Yep. Remind us what it is. Who wants to tell us? Yeah, excellent. Okay, so who goes to backlog refinement and what do they do? Who goes to the meeting? The Scrum team. She said it right here. Excellent. And so tell me, what is the Scrum Master doing during backlog refinement? Facilitating. Excellent. And what is the product owner supposed to be doing during backlog refinement?
Priority.
Okay, so we got to do that sort of beforehand too, so we know we're talking about the most important stuff, right? But the product owner's job is to provide clarity to the developers about that thing we're supposed to be building sometime in the near future, right? So the developer's job is what in backlog refinement?
To ask questions. Thank you. Ask questions of the product owner. Now, what if you've got an absentee product owner by no fault of their own? They're stretched too thin. Okay. Developers are asking questions and not getting answers. And then developers have to take that work into a sprint via some mandate before they understand the work. What could happen?
They build a bunch of great technology that doesn't do anything useful.
So if I could summarize the answer and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think what you just said is they're going to build the wrong thing. Fair to say? Okay. So let's say that this anti-pattern continues and you've got a product owner who isn't providing clarity. Developers have to pull the work in. They build the wrong thing. Is that costly? Okay, so which costs more? Building the wrong thing or having a full-time dedicated product owner? What do you think? Building the wrong thing? Well, just to prove that you're correct, I've done the numbers. Okay, so on this slide, this is the case study. You've got a PO that's spread too thin. We've got, let's say, 8 US-based developers making $110 an hour on a Scrum team, $7,040 a day, or $70,400 a sprint. Okay, and let's say that because our company hasn't decided to dedicate the people that we need to do this to be successful, we build the wrong thing for 8 out of 26 sprints in a calendar year. We just spent $563,200 building the wrong thing. Can we afford a full-time dedicated product owner for that money? I think I would do that job. Yeah. Okay. But see, now that's just the first of many costs. Now we have to turn the wrong thing into the right thing. And what if that takes another 8 sprints? We've just spent almost $1.2 million. And according to Glassdoor in January of this year, I looked it up, the average annual salary of a product owner is 116 grand, just south of that. You could have afforded almost 10 full-time dedicated product owners for that same money. This feels like common sense to me. Lee.
You don't even have cost in there.
Oh, this is just the beginning. Yeah, this is just the beginning. What about the cost of ticked off customers who keep getting delivered the wrong thing, right? Okay. A couple other things I want to do before we hit a breakout activity, another piece of story time here. Who knows what component teams are? Another common sense aspect of Scrum. So I saw a couple hands go up. So component teams are basically teams that look like this. Let's say in sprint number 1, you've got one team of nothing but architecture or infrastructure people. Okay. And in the first sprint, they build an architecture or infrastructure type of things. And then the second sprint, that work is now handed off to a team of coders. And in the third sprint, that work is now handed off to a UX UI design team to put all the good looking wrappers around things. And then finally, after 4 sprints, we're testing this thing. At what point in this chronology does a customer get to see something? How many sprints? 4 sprints. What if we go through this exercise, show the customer what we've built over the last 4 sprints, and they don't like it? Anyone ever delivered something to a customer that they didn't like? Okay, so in Scrum, we operate in what we call cross-functional teams, okay, where we have those skills on a single team. And now how many sprints will it take to show something to a customer? 1 sprint, okay? And if the customer doesn't like it, that's important to know. We want to get to that feedback quickly so we can pivot. But how much money and time did we waste here? That seems like 3 sprints of payroll and 3 sprints of time wasted. Common sense. You know who really digs common sense in cross-functional teams? NASCAR. Can you imagine if at a pit stop, there was one team that just did the tires, and then they handed the car off to another team who filled it with gas, and then handed it off to a third team who washed the windows? Car would be in there for a while. Okay. All right. So next thing I want to do, we're going to do a team activity here. And in this activity, what I want to talk about, and for those online, we'll do breakout rooms. And there's a Miro board. Did you give them access to that? Okay, I'll put that in the chat. Give me 1 second. We're going to do an activity, but I'll explain the activity first. What I want to do is we're going to put you in teams, and in this room, you're going to get into groups of 3 to 4 people. And what I'd like you to do for a 10-minute window is I want you to share your dysfunctional experiences with Scrum, things that you are experiencing in the world of work that you feel is against what Scrum is about. Okay. And then in your group, after you've all kind of emptied your tanks, I want you to pick one idea and then brainstorm common sense solutions to how you might solve that particular problem. And then when we're done, we're going to share. And I want to hear what your idea was that you tried to solve and then different ways you might solve it. And we're going to look, when we get that feedback, we're going to look to you first in the room to start us off. And then we'll go to the Zoom session and have someone from the breakout rooms there share what they had, and we'll rotate back and forth. Okay. So let me get the Miro link. And as far as the rest of you in the room, you can feel free to group up, 3 to 4 people per group. Again, you're sharing. Oh, I just lost the slide. You're sharing what dysfunction you've experienced and how you might go about fixing it. And okay, here comes the Miro link in the Zoom chat, folks. Putting it in the Zoom chat right now. Okay, and when you go to breakout rooms, have you put them in breakout rooms? Okay, when you go to breakout rooms, folks, take note of your breakout room number, and that's the part of the Miro board you're going to go to. Every section is numbered based on 1 through 16. Just pick your number, the room number, and go to that section. All right, lots of vibrant conversation. That's fantastic. So here's how I want to debrief this. I want to talk to one team here in the room. I want to hear what problem you landed on that you wanted to try and solve, what specific Scrum anti-pattern, if you will, and then how you're going to solve it. And then we'll go to a team that's in the breakout or on Zoom, and we'll get one of their inputs. So who'd like to share from the room the challenge you identified and how you might solve it?
Project, like how should we proceed? Because the tasks were divided among us and we were doing one task, but the one task was pending, and if we are not finishing the project on time, the professor is not going to give us the thing. So this was the problem. And what is the solution to that is that we should discuss in team the problem, and then we should actually address the problem to the management team, that is our professor, for example. So she can provide the solution to that. Or the other thing is that the member who is missing, she should be accountable. She should inform us if there might be other issues, there might be some personal issues. We cannot blame her also that you are not doing the task properly. So this is the solution, that the member should inform in a team if she or he is not available. And also we can contact a management team. So what to do next? How can we manage a project further?
Interesting. So did it turn out okay?
Yeah.
It turned out okay?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
In my case, the professor helped, and my professor is right there, by the way.
Okay, great. So here's something that occurred to me as you were saying this. Did your team have a working agreement?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. And did that working agreement, did it cover what to do if you're unable to attend sessions or be present?
What we actually discussed to inform earlier.
Okay.
There should not be a communication gap.
Yeah.
So that was the first rule, to how to make it happen. Like, how should we stay connected on Teams, on different platforms? But if the person is not there, then it's her or his responsibility to inform us earlier.
Sure.
But the person did not inform. That might be the personal reason. We didn't know anything. So we just, there was only one solution for us to do, actually, to inform our professor. There was nothing else.
But
and we actually finished the task with the rest of the group. And
Okay.
Yeah, we had to proceed it first.
So that person never came back.
No, she did not. She came a bit late, so, but we actually involved her in the project eventually.
Well,
That
that
was a
very nice of
teamwork.
you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would have been that generous. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Let's have someone from the Zoom session. I'd love to hear, and can we hear anything from them? All right. Maybe something in the chat. I'll tell you what, while someone puts something in the chat for Zoom, we'll monitor that because we're having technical challenges as to hearing people on Zoom. But does anyone else in the room have something you would like to share about a problem you're facing and how you might solve it?
Am I going on video or something?
For the remote participants, yeah.
Oh,
You're a
okay.
celebrity.
All right. So for our group, we were discussing how if Scrum is common sense and the project or the team circumstance, some of the practices may not be relevant, or rather, maybe there are new processes that needs to be added. And so if that goes against Scrum, do you change it or don't you change it? At least from my personal experience, there were cases where I was saying how like you would try to find a balance, right? So it's kind of like trying to be healthy. You know, there's some basic needs that you need to do to be able to be healthy, but each person, their body, their digestive system is different. So you figure out together as a team to try to keep the most basic of Scrum to help you maintain your project, but also adapt whatever it is for your circumstance, your environment, your technical environment, your corporate environment, and your team environment, and then just find the balance between the two, while ensuring the principles and values are fulfilled.
It's a tightrope act. For
Yeah.
sure. Was there something specific that caused that discussion to take place? Was there a specific meeting that they wanted to have or one they wanted to not have that caused this to happen?
So I think when you brought it up, it was kind of more philosophical. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. During this, sorry, in Scrum that involves actually one product manager, right? If the product manager can't be able to attend the meeting or wasn't involved during the sprint period, the project goes to scrap. So yeah, that's going to happen sometimes if the product requirement need is higher.
For sure.
So why can't we add another backup or something else in order to get it? I mean, to get the process more frequently to be done.
You mean like
It doesn't get up with the Scrum, right?
like a backup product owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I would say, yeah, that's not in the Scrum guide, but
Yeah.
is it better than having no product owner?
Sure.
Right, lesser of two evils in that case, for sure. All right, cool. Anyone else have anything you want to share? Oh, there's someone on the chat? Okay. So this person says lack of demo, lack of retrospective, uninvolved product owner. Yeah, boy, that's a mouthful. Okay. So lack of demo. So I would love to know more, Janice, if you can throw the lack of demo, a little description in the chat, and I will be your mouthpiece. Oh, can I unmute her? I will try. Let's figure this out. Give me 1 second, Janice. I'm navigating to you. Give me 1 second. Okay. It says ask to unmute. I just asked to unmute, Janice. Maybe now, there you go.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
I hear you on my computer. Let me get a mic and I will put it up to my speaker, Janice. And thank you for figuring this out for us, Janice.
All right, hey, everybody, it's Janice Young, and our team discussed 3 dysfunctional moments in our most recent projects, but we didn't have enough time to solve for it. I think Eric just rattled them off. No demos, no retrospectives, and an uninvolved PO were the ones our team came up with. The lack of demo was the management thought that we should just keep busy and keep delivering, no need to stop and demo it. Lack of retrospective, senior management would decide what was wrong with our sprint, tell us what we were doing. It wasn't, the 22-member team wasn't involved in the retrospective. And
Right.
then uninvolved PO, where the PO just never refined the backlog, didn't attend any meetings, just sort of absent.
And Janice, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. Did you have any thoughts on how you might solve any one of those things?
But we didn't get a chance to discuss it. The first two are mine as a Scrum Master. I actually did, since I couldn't get anyone else to look at the demo, like the product owner or any of the management type folks, just among the team, I had the lead engineer do the demo because I really thought he was a rock star, and I let him know. And he saved the company a lot of money. I did keep trying to uplift him and you know, what his contribution. So I was able to do something there at one point, but I could have done I would have liked to have done a lot more, because I love showcasing and spotlighting the team's accomplishments, for example.
You know, just to build on the product owner point, thank you very much, Janice, for sharing that info. To build on the product owner point, there's a story I like to tell in my product owner class, which goes like this. I have a daughter, she's 19. She goes to Endicott, she's gonna be a nurse. And when she was 8, I bribed her. Father of the year, bribed my 8-year-old daughter, yeah. Told her that if she got nothing but A's and B's in school, that when she was driving age, I'd buy her a car if she got nothing below a B. Well, unfortunately, she kept her end of the deal. So when she turned 16, off we went car shopping, okay? Now, the reason I'm going with this story, it'll be clear in a second. So now my daughter and I are going to buy a car. Who's the customer in this transaction that's about to happen? Why am I the customer? Because I'm paying, okay. Who's the user in this scenario? My daughter. Okay, as the customer, what do you think I want from this transaction? What's top of mind for me? There's number one, safety. What's the next one? Price, affordability, and starts with an R, reliability, right? Those are the only 3 things I care about, okay? My daughter is the user. Do you think those are the 3 things that she cares about? Okay, what does she care about?
Color.
There's one. Yep, color. What else? Looks. Speed's got to go fast. Stereo's got to be banging, and she's got to look good in it. She's got to fit her friends, right? So we have nothing in common at all, but we both have an interest in the car. Okay, who's the business in this scenario? The dealership, right? Okay, imagine if my friend Janice worked at an auto manufacturing company. They made the cars that a dealership's going to sell, that a user's going to use, and that a customer's going to buy. Imagine if they don't ask for feedback from all 3 of those audiences on a regular basis. Is it risky that they're not going to build the right kind of car? Okay, Janice, that's for you. I hope that helps you and convinces leadership to let you do that, because you are on the right track. Janice, don't give up. Okay, anyone else want to share? You forgot about the affordable part. Okay, anyone else have a dysfunction they want to talk about before we move on? Yes, sir, bring it on.
We talked about hearing crickets in sprint review from everyone.
Well, Tobias and I had an opportunity to discuss, why folks would come to a sprint review where they're the customer, they're seeing we spent $500,000 on a sprint to build something for them, and then why they wouldn't say anything. And I think we kind of brainstormed that, maybe a lack of engagement, lack of being prepared for that meeting, and then understanding, as Tobias is saying, understanding their role in that they have an opportunity to shape the future. They have an opportunity to shape how that product is going to be further developed and their lack of feedback, of them lack of giving direction, that engineering team is going to possibly go away and invest another sprint, possibly building the wrong thing. Hopefully they have a good product owner that will tell them the right things to build, but it's the customer that tells them really how and why, what the purpose is of what they're building, right? So I can still build something that maybe conforms to the spec, but not to the spirit of what I was going to use. And I think there's a great exercise where we have a customer describe something, you have an engineering team go build it. And at the end of a no feedback session, you can see how quite different an idea the customer had in mind for what needed to be built from what the engineering team probably over created and theorized and added all these features. And it's like, oh, I just simply needed I won't spoil it in case we use it, but the two ideas are very different without communication back and forth.
100%. 100%. All right. Well, thank you very much for that feedback and that opportunity to share stories. So moving forward here, I want to just talk briefly, and I know you all know this already, but if you're doing Scrum the right way, if you're doing it the way it's meant to be done, and you get over that psychological insecurity of seeing all of your dirty laundry get aired out there, and you're beyond being worried about how you're going to look when we learn that we're doing things wrong, and we actually get to the benefits of Scrum. These 6 things right here, and I've been doing this for close to 20 years now, these benefits here are real. They actually happen. Now, what I want to do next is put you back into breakout rooms for one little session. We're going to do 8 minutes on this one. And here's what I want you looking at. And there's a copy of this slide in the Miro board. The team that you were on already, what I want you to do is have a look at these different scenario cards. And for you in the room, have a look at this slide. And what we've got here are 4 different scenarios of broken Scrum, specific scenarios. And what I want you to do as a team is pick one and try to solve it. Try to figure out what you might do to apply Scrum and get rid of the problem here and lead to a solution. Okay, so we'll do this for 8 minutes this time, and then a quick share, and then we will wrap up. So, are you ready? Okay, 8 minutes on the clock, go for it. Okay, looks like we are mostly back. So folks, I'm going to start this debrief with someone from the breakouts. So if you would like to share which challenge you're going to solve and how you would do it, just give me a raised hand up in the camera there, and I will unmute you. Someone from, okay, Janice is going to do it again for us. I like it. Excellent. All right, Janice. So
I'm gonna make it quick because I want to hear from other folks, but we did pick the 4th scenario on the issue where the backlog is starting to not make sense and be very inefficient. And what can the product owner do to get some value and give clear direction here? We had some good conversation in our group, which boils down to, hey, get one solution is get all the stakeholders in the room. Let's take a look at the backlog, which things are important to you right now, especially on those things that have been on the backlog for a year or 2. Like, can we just clear this out? Was another scenario where, we can slash this backlog in half and just keep the priority things so that it's more clear. There was a point made in the room that, hey, when your backlog is that haphazard, outdated, incomplete, old, that it does affect the team morale and potentially the team productivity. So that was our group.
thank you, Janice. What's the most important word for a product owner's vocabulary?
No.
No. No is the most important word. Why? Because
The backlog will grow forever.
the backlog will grow forever, right? So keeping things out of there is as important, if not more important, than putting things in there. All right, one person from the room who's going to share. Oh, same one. Okay.
And I want to tell you that Lee is the mastermind. I'm merely Lee's scribe. So he, oh, great. Okay, why are there 2 of these things here?
This is for the remote people.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing we said was have a prioritization technique. must have, should have, could have. That was
Get the fourth one.
won't
Get the
have,
fourth one, there you go.
okay. And then 2 was rank on an attribute or a formula, with a formula with a small set of attributes. Lee, can you elaborate?
Oh, I'm not sure what that's called actually, but the idea is look at your work, figure out a few attributes that apply to all your work, and then rank them, say low, medium, high, and then add up some numbers. Now that's like the quantitative approach as opposed to the PO's gut feel. This is most important.
Okay, and then we said alignment to a roadmap or a product goal.
Love it.
Oh, we also said, and we want to get credit for this one, PO can say no, or teach the PO to say no. And then Katie said, just-in-time perspectives, right? Like you don't want to refine the entire backlog, right? Makes no sense. And then having a clear sprint goal.
Beautiful.
I know.
Clear sprint goal that aligns with the product goal.
Yeah.
Beautiful, which aligns to hopefully a product vision.
Yes.
Right, for sure.
Yes, we are so smart.
Okay, I did see your hand in the back, and we're gonna finish up with you.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
In my last job, I had a platform manager who manages operations, but she took platform management for the first time and new to Agile. And she used to come in between the sprint, every sprint, and she throws in some extra work that is related to processes, make a RACI chart, make something else. And the way it worked is we at first couldn't deliver, and then we started working over hours, and then we started doing a pause in the sprint and stretch the sprint. But that derailed the whole train because we have dependencies on other teams and we couldn't get the resources in. Also it brought competition within the cross-functional teams. People who are less loaded started doing those jobs but not right. Competing for the attention of the particular manager to impress her. And the whole team spirit gone weird. And from a perfectly working team, it went into the most chaotic team within 6 months. And we could never deliver what's most important. And we could never get her to a priority, backlog priority, asking, can you tell us we are delivering a Okta service right now, which is more important on SSO versus an organizational chart. And she says, because I needed it. So what is the solution? I couldn't find a solution. I quit the job.
That's the solution. That was the solution right there. I never would advocate for that, but there were about 18 things that needed to be changed in that scenario. And picking the right one to start with would have been a challenge for sure. So, wow, thanks for sharing that. Our final comment is right here. I'm putting her on the spot only because she got uncomfortable when I said, do you want to speak? So now she's going to speak, so. Yes, you got this.
So, I guess I would like to add some details on the sprint shakeup. I mean, we also had that on our list. So the action plan, what we would take is, first of all, the Scrum Master has to be in touch with the product owner. Why the new feature is so important, what impact it has on the business. So first understand if we can delay the release. I mean, I'm not sure whether it's going to release in the next cycle or not, but what impact it's going to have on the business and what's the priority right now. Understand that from the product owner point of view. Then I would also want to have my team sit with product owner, have a discussion whether the skill set need to complete that feature is available with us. Do we have the capacity for that? And I am hoping that if our sprint is ongoing, we would be out of capacity to add that feature on the board. So in that case, if the product owner decides still to go with that feature, I would definitely first consult with my team. I'll ask my team whether they're comfortable if we got the feature on board.
Yeah.
If yes, in that case, I will ask my product owner to deprioritize, make some trade-off with the existing sprint items which we have already
as a sprint goal, I would definitely want him to take off some items so that my team will not feel overloaded with the work. So in that case, I guess I would be able to fulfill the need of my business and will not have my team overwhelmed with the work which is already planned for the sprint.
Yeah.
So that approach, I think I'll take for the first one.
Very good.
And for the retrospective, right, yes, that's a problem. And for that,
Here's your man right over there. Talk to Gary. He's the retro guy.
So, in order to have the retrospective action implemented, what we used to do, we used to actually put down all the action items during the retrospective and assign an owner for each item. So that those items needs to be added as a product backlog in your category. So whenever you start your next sprint, you need to make sure you have those product backlog into your sprint backlog, so that the team is aware, like, these are the items we need to take care of. These are not just for the sake of adding into the backlog. These are being monitored and needs assessed every time. So as that actions are already ongoing during the sprint, you need to also make sure that in your next retrospective, you will revisit the previous retrospective board. Whatever action you have pointed out are being carried out or not, or are they still needs to, I mean, is there any work still needs to be done as a part of that action item? It will carry on for the next sprint. I guess that's my approach.
By the way, nice job. You're a natural on that microphone. Good job. Good job. Now, if I could make two suggestions about the sprint planning thing, right? Empirical data is huge.
Yeah.
So knowing whether the team's overwhelmed is simply a measure of what have they been able to achieve, whether you're tracking number of product backlog items they finish, whether it's story points, whatever it is. Don't let them pull in more than that. Start with what they know they can do and then try to exceed the plan.
Yes,
okay.
definitely.
And as far as the retrospective, I love everything you said. My only suggestion would be try one thing.
Yes, yes.
Not 10, not
definitely,
3,
not
one
everything.
thing, right?
It's the one which is achievable.
It's the reason why we don't have 2 New Year's resolutions,
Oh, yes.
right? Because if we do, we're not going to get any of them done,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Totally with you on that.
Thank you very much. Good
Thank you.
job. Okay, folks, that wraps up the time we have. But before we go, I got a present for you all. I've got a free gift for you. I'm going to put the scan right here. I've created a free mini course online. It's called Last to First, Reversing Agile Mistakes. It's got 5 different lessons in it about 5 very common broken things in Scrum. If you scan that QR code, you get access for free. And it's self-paced. Take it at whatever pace you want to. And you have my contact info is there. If you'd like to connect and stay in touch, feel free. I have business cards in the front. If you want to grab one and stay in touch that way, feel free as well. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you.